In this lesson, we're going to continue retopoing the frame. Alright, so let's pick up right where we left off. Let's go ahead and close in this area right here. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and go to PolyDraw and Extend, make sure that's turned on. And then we're going to hold down Shift and Control. And actually, you know what, let's do this. Let's hold down Alt and then left click off of this surface. And then hold down Control, Shift, and Alt, and then left click on that point, just to kind of help that to snap onto the surface. And then what we'll do is we'll hold Control, Alt, and then drag across that to bridge. And we'll do that one more time. Hold down Alt, pull that out. Hold Control, Alt, Shift, left click on that point to offset that again. Control, Alt, drag across there. May have to redistribute some of those polygons there if you need to, but that's okay. And then we're going to hold down Control Alt. We're going to bridge from here to here, and then we're going to bridge across to here, and then we'll bridge from here to there. Now we're going to have some extra points in here. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I like that there. Let's go ahead and hold down Alt and Control, and let's bridge from there to there. So that way we get this triangle here. And then I'm going to hold down Alt, Control, and then bridge across there. Now we have these 2 points right here. I'm actually going to right click and target weld from here to here, and it's going to create that triangle right in that position. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Now let's go ahead and go to PolyDraw and Extend, make sure that's turned on again. And you can go ahead and redistribute your vertices and your polygons if you need to, just to kind of get that shape back there. But again, we're worried about the silhouette on that, so we'll make sure that looks nice and neat. Alright, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and continue working on this. So I'm actually going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to drag this edge out to here, and we'll do that a couple more times. I'm going to drag it right out to the center on that, and then I'm just going to pull these points. Now notice here that something has gone on. It actually pulled that vertex up to this point right here. We have to be very careful whenever we're using that Control, Shift, and Alt and moving those vertices, because sometimes it'll actually snap to a surface that we can't actually see through the camera. So you have to hit Control Z to undo that, and then pick a different angle to try and move those vertices. Okay? And this happens all the time, especially once we start getting into some of the smaller areas and things like that. We just have to make sure that we're paying attention and that we're not accidentally snapping something we don't really want to. Now I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to drag out this edge. Okay, and I'm going to pull that down here, and then hold down Alt, drag from this edge, pull that down here, and then Control Alt, left click and drag across here. Okay, and then we'll just kind of pull those points back, trying to get those as close to that surface as possible. Again, you may have to zoom in just a little bit. You can hold down Alt and zoom in with your mouse wheel, and that should help with the zooming. It won't take it in quite as fast. Alright, looks good. Alright, so we've got that. Now, you might be asking, why did we only go halfway? Why aren't we doing the other side? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to retopo the parts that are symmetrical first, and then we'll take care of the parts that are non-symmetrical or asymmetrical at a later time. So once we're finished with all the symmetrical stuff, then we can start getting into all of that. Alright, so let's go ahead and start up here at the top. Let's hold down Shift, let's drag that across there. I'm actually going to take this point right up to here. And let's do the same thing here. And I'm going to continue tracing out that cylinder. Okay, we don't have to get too detailed on that here on the inside, because that's a point that's really not actually going to be seen. I don't want to build an edge on that, so I'm actually going to take these points right here to the outside edge of that rim. Okay, just like that. Very, very good. Okay, so everything is coming together. Now you might be asking, well, why didn't we reuse some of the geometry from the gun? We've already built all of that. Why not reuse it? We could do that. Okay, there's nothing really wrong with that. But the problem that I have with that is that it can be it can be very difficult to retopologize something from existing geometry using that TurboSmooth workflow. Okay, so we didn't really optimize anything whenever we were building all of that. So we would be spending a lot of time just trying to figure out how the polygons are going to come back together in an optimized way, than rather just building the art, building the asset itself. So I prefer this method. Now you'll notice that these points didn't come together, so let's go ahead and right click and target weld those. So we'll target weld that, that'll be good, and then let's go back to PolyDraw and extend. Okay, and I'm just moving these points around, getting those into position. Alright, great. Now let's go ahead and take this, let's hold shift and drag that up. And I'm going to drag this up to here. And I'm just kind of looking at what I have to fill at this point. So let's do this. Let's hit Control-Z one other time. Let's hold shift and drag this point up. Okay. And Control-Alt, bridge across there, and then hold down Alt, pull up from there. Okay. Now I apologize if you're having trouble with the keyboard shortcuts. You may want to spend a little bit of time practicing. I'm going to try calling them out as much as possible there, but after a while that might start to get a little annoying to you. So I apologize if it does. Alright, so now we're looking really good. We're getting the front portion of this. Now what we want to do is go ahead and get all of this again. And so at this point, I'm going to come in, I'm going to drag right from the top here, just drag that down. And I'm just trying to think about how all of that is going to come together. So I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 segments on this. Let's try to do 4. Let's hold down Control-Alt, bridge that down there. And so I'm just creating this little strip right down the center here. And I'm hoping that all of this is going to come together in that. Okay, we may have a little bit of difficulty, but we should be okay. So at this point, we could go ahead and continue just pulling those vertices or those polygons out and trying to get all that together. But at some point, we may have to just come in and cap it and then try to cut it. Okay, whichever way is easiest for you, more than welcome to do that. In this case, I'm going to hold down Alt and I'm just going to start pulling these polygons out. I'm going to pull them out in this way. Now you'll notice that some of these may not come out the way that we think they should. So may have to hold down Alt, take a look at what we get there, and then try it from there. You'll notice that this polygon here, I'm not really sure what's happening there. So let's hit that a couple more times. Hold down Alt on this one, and we'll pull that down. We'll have to target weld that, obviously, but that's okay. So I'm just going to continue holding Alt and then pulling these down. Try this from here. There we go. And we're just trying to get all of this to come together. And we may actually get it all to come together in one single point. We could actually create triangles from all of that if we wanted. So hold Alt. Oops. Let's go from the outside edge here. I think it's grabbing a surface that I don't want it to. So we'll do what we can here. And then Control-Alt-Shift. Just move those points around, just try to get them to come back to that. Alright, great. Okay, so then let me hold down Control-Alt and let me bridge from here to there. And you can see how that's kind of coming together there. And what I'll do is I'll just come in and I'll start target welding some points together. And it looks like I have an extra polygon right here by accident. Yep. Let me select that and actually delete it out. Let's go to target weld and bring all these points together. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring them all together at one point. Okay. So that should give us a pretty good result there. So let's right click and target weld from here to there. and then up, and then let's go up to here, and then I'm going to take this to the center, and down. So we get kind of this whole spiral of triangles coming across here. Now I don't like this right here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut that off. So I'm going to go to vertex mode and cut, and I'll cut from here down to here and then to here. So that way we still have these quads here at the bottom. We could definitely see what that is. Okay. Let's also cut from this vertex across to the middle there, and there we go. All right, so we've set that up. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that that center line is taken care of. And so let's go to edge mode, and I'm going to double click on that edge. You'll notice that it goes all the way up to the top, but let's double click on this one too. Okay, and with this edge selected, let's go ahead and type in X or 0 on our X, but before we do that, let's make sure that that line is planar in the X direction. Okay, and actually that's going to be the Z direction. Then we'll type in 0, and there we go. All right, so that line is now centered. All right, perfect. Now let's do a quick check on these vertices. We have a couple there extra, so we're going to weld those, and let's just take that point, let's set it back to 0, and then let's pull it down and it's Z, just to kind of even out those triangles there. Very good. All right, so let's come in and let's start working on the rest, starting to get the main body of that. So we finished out the hard part there. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started on that next.